Hello, Grayson and Addison. Um, this is going to be your first video makeup lesson. I'm going to combine both of your video makeup lessons, um, just because you guys are in the same part of the book, and I think it would just make sense to give you both the exact same lesson as I've been doing in person. Okay, so, um, I'd say what I'd like to work on today is just getting a bit more comfortable switching between chords. Let me adjust this camera so you can see my hand. Getting more comfortable switching between chords. One of the best ways to do that is getting your fingers moving independently of each other. So, as always, doing G to G. So, starting on high G, third finger, this is going to be our warm-up. We start high G, high F, open E, D on the B string, C on the B string, B on the B string, A on the G string, and then G on the G. Going back up, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And just go up and down that a couple of times just to get our fingers warmed up. Once you get that going, then we'll be ready. So, I believe we are familiar with a couple of chords. First and foremost, C chord. It'll be our main chord, the main course. So in order to play a C chord, we have our bottom string, which is our top string, but the lowest note, open E. Then next we have third finger, third fret on the A string, which is our second to highest, second to lowest string, playing a C here. Then on our next string up, which is our D string, we're playing another E, second finger, second fret, E. Then we have open G. Then we're getting into notes we do know. On the B string, first finger, first fret, we just played this at C. We're familiar with that. So, and then open E on top of that. So it's important that we play this with our fingers curved, that way we're not getting any of these chunks, these, like, we want notes to be able to ring, right? So, fingers curved, not touching any strings that we're not meant to be touching. And we have this C chord. The C chord's really great. And then we have another chord that I'd like to show you, which is the G7 chord. This is going to be another very popular chord that we play throughout the next few weeks. In order to play a G7 chord, in order to play a G7 chord, excuse me, what you need to do is take this C chord shape and just change the strings. So your first finger, it's on the B string right now, playing a C. What you want to do is lower that one string. So now it's on the high E string, and it's playing an F, which we know from the G scale. So now that this is here, let's take our top two fingers, which are playing these two notes, on the A and D string. So finger 2, second fret on the D string, and then finger 3, third fret on the A string. What we're going to do is just raise them one string. So the second finger, second fret, moves to the A string, and the third finger, third fret, moves to the E string. So it's the exact same shape, and it sounds like this. G7 chord. It's a lot of tension in this chord, which is great because we have C chord, which is the most at-home chord we could possibly have, and then G7, which has a lot of tension, and we're trying to go back and forth. That's how you write chords. It's tension and release. Now, please excuse me. What I'd like you to do is get more comfortable switching between G7 and C. And the only way to do that is by just going back and forth. So what you could do, and I'll give you a playing example, is take 4 quarter notes of C and then switch to 4 quarter notes of G7. This is the best way to do it in my opinion. So I'll go this fast. C chord, G7, C, and just repeat this process. What you could also do is take it, well, ideally you're taking it super slow, but taking it note by note. So if we're holding out this C chord, and then switch chords to G7, is switching back and forth. Sorry, I'm outside, there's bugs. Switching back and forth, which will allow you to hear each note and making sure that each note is sounding. Because if one of the notes sounds like this, then you gotta fix it. So, I hear 6 notes in the C scale, or the C chord, that means I'm doing it right. Switch to G7. I hear 6 notes. I'm ready to move it back to the C chord. There we go. Once we get a bit more comfortable, we start to speed up just a little bit. Which is great. Next, we're going to be adding the D chord to this, D major. This is a chord that's a little bit different. Excuse me. Where you only play the bottom 4 strings, D, G, B, E. So in order to play this chord, I like to have my wrist turned like this, because our first and second finger are going to be stacked on top of each other, both on the 2nd fret. And in order to do that, I turn my wrist. Like so. It looks like this. So, like I was saying, in order to play this chord, you're going to take your first finger, put it on the 2nd fret on the G string. So here's G, put it on the 2nd fret. Now we're playing the A, the note A on the G string, which we know from when we play a G scale. We're just playing that A with our first finger, 2nd fret on the G string. Then we take our 2nd finger and we're putting it also on the 2nd fret, but on the high E string. This note is F sharp. We haven't learned it in the book yet, but we have played it when we do our 4-finger exercise. It is the 2nd note. So far, we have 2nd finger G string, 2nd finger E string. And then the B string should just be floating by itself. We aren't touching it. Make sure we're very specifically leaving enough space for this B string in between our fingers. That way, we can use our 3rd finger to put it on the 3rd fret. And then, if you play the D, G, B, and E strings together with all these fingers down, you get a D chord. So, now we have 3 chords to choose from. What I'd like you to do, go through all of these chords, note by note. Just switch back between them. And get more comfortable with it. So, like I said, playing each string individually is going to be super helpful to making sure every single note sounds, and then playing 4 quarter notes on each chord and just switching between them randomly. C, C, G, D, C, D, G, C. I'm just picking a random chord, going to it, and getting more comfortable switching between them quickly. Alright, that's going to be part 1 of this video lesson. I know you're out of time next week, so I'll make sure I send another one as soon as possible. And I hope you have a great day. Okay, bye y'all.